Something exciting.
Sounds to us
Oh, wow.
that
Oh,
we're getting information.
We're getting pictures from Mars.
wow. The really exciting news is that if we have this pass with Odyssey, it means everything has gone perfectly on the surface. Even if we get one bit of data from Odyssey, it means all the critical deployments happen just as we had hoped they would. The rover is safe, it is healthy, and it's doing everything as we planned. Because of the sounds of the applause in the background, I think we're going to get very good news very shortly.
Welcome to Mars, Mr. Finelli.
And if we're lucky, we might have a postcard from Mars tonight.
Salt, this is Flight. Do you have real-time telemetry yet?
No, I didn't get it yet.
Images
I
coming
do
down.
see pre-landed step nominal movement.
You have images. Images coming down.
Wow! We got the first pictures from the surface of Mars. Look at that! Wow! We are on Mars.
That's looking down on our vehicle.
We're going to egress and then we're going to drive.
It's all good.
I mean, because
we got the blind spot that we can't see anything under the solar rays, so we don't actually know what's there.
right, yeah, I saw that it was in this region.
Okay, so you've seen that. So
Right. So I just want to make sure you guys had the heading so that you can start figuring out where in there.
Yeah, right now the matching of features actually puts us south of that.
It wasn't long before eager scientists began searching for exactly where the rover had landed and what nearby might be worth
I
exploring.
think there's going to be a lot of push from the geology team.
Yeah, they go that way.
And then the thing about this site is it's so flat and there's so few rocks.
Yeah.
We ought to be thinking about whether we could get to something that letting it go just completely distinctly different. I mean, that stuff's poking up through. Man, that's different.
The initial images from Spirit showed a landscape lacking large rocks. That was good news for being able to maneuver. There would be no major obstacles to avoid. But even at first glance, these small rocks seemed all of a similar type.
It may be that there's not a huge variety of rocks, but that's all subject.
That observation would turn out to be true. The rocks were mostly made out of volcanic lava.
This is where you all get to wear these lovely looking glasses. Generally, you want to use...
To find rocks with a richer geological story to tell, Spirit would have to make good use of its wheels, once it was actually on the surface. For the moment, the rover was still tightly tied down, sitting atop its lander and airbags. To reach the surface, Spirit would first have to cut 126 cables, fastening it to the lander, stand up, stretch out, and roll off. But images showed that the forward egress route was partially blocked by airbags.
Engineering cameras. Has cam and nav cam help? The rocker, this is the forward rocker, aft rocker.
As the operations team worked on freeing the rover, and scientists mulled over which rocks to inspect, the entry, descent, and landing team pored over Spirit's telemetry to reconstruct just how safe or dangerous the landing had been.
And we end just above.
Spirit's parachute had opened a mile lower than expected. and the metal tape and rope bridle that lowered the rover away from its back shell had taken twice as long to deploy, 12 seconds instead of 6.
So this is obviously something that'll have to be investigated to determine what has happened here. This is a mechanical issue that has to be resolved to make sure that we don't break it the next time around. And we've got a real mystery to solve.
There had also been 2 wind gusts. The second one occurred at the worst possible moment, tilting the lander just before the retro rockets fired. Had not additional rockets been added to right the system, the rover would have hit the surface at more than 50 miles an hour, the upper limit of the rover's ability to survive a hard landing. Even then, Spirit hit the ground hard and bounced at least 28 times before coming to a full stop.
Cut to the chase and tell you what it is right away. I'm pretty confident that this dot here is the heat shield. Wow. And then Jay figured out that this is the parachute shadow.
The second landing site's higher elevation and the ongoing global dust storm raised the worry that the lander would run out of time between the parachute opening and touchdown. To buy time required deploying the parachute higher and at a faster speed, which meant the dynamic pressure on the chute would be higher, and that had its own risk. If stressed beyond the tested limits of dynamic pressure, the parachute might shred to pieces.
Well, the fact that it works so beautifully and crisply at 725 is a signal that it will work at 750, because we believe that the parachute would be explaining to us at 725 that it was on the edge. Okay, and there seems to be another group that says it worked at 725, so don't change it, fly it at 725.
Both equally valid opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Of course, Pete's more valid than both.
Okay. The elephant in the room in this is the parachute deployment pressure. We're still not comfortable with the atmosphere because it's moved quite a bit from where it was for 2 years in our baseline model. What is the size of the residual threats, and how far are you willing to use the good parachute deployments to buy yourself insurance against those residual threats? Which takes us, as appropriate segue, into the descent rate limiter discussion.
Right.
The only thing.
Out of these discussions came the decision to open Opportunity's parachute 4,500 feet higher, enough to gain a few extra seconds without, they believed, adding undue risk to the parachute.